What up? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast with Justin and Nat. Maybe wondering if I'm a jinx, Justin, because you and Karima had it rolling the last couple of games and got to talk about dubs. And then here I am coming back, and it's the opposite of a dub. Am I a jinx? Do I bring the bad luck?
I mean, well, the Cavs game was not a dub, but...
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Listen, I've completely lost track already of time, schedule, everything. But we're here. We're here. The Warriors are 6-3, and I find it very hard to be upset at all about what their record is right now going into a very extended homestand, which we'll talk about later. So, yeah, let's get into it. I think that, look, I don't believe in moral victories. So I have to say that because I don't want anything to sound like after what I'm saying is like, oh, it's a moral victory. It's not. I want them to win. I think they should have won. They had a chance to win. And you could tell that they really wanted to win too. And that's a good place to start, like that they were not casual about it. So, but yeah, I mean, look, this game didn't actually end up being what we thought it would be. No Jamal Murray, who's going to miss some sounds like some significant time. I think they said about a month, something along those lines. So he's going to miss some time for the Nuggets. And no Draymond Green or Gary Payton II. Draymond for personal reasons, GP2 for illness. So Warriors without two key rotation pieces defensively, but also people that still impact our offense, players that impact our offense. And the Nuggets without Jamal Murray, also a key piece. They're number 2, So it's I feel like it's hard to draw too much from this game, and I still feel like there's some good takeaways you can get from this game. My biggest takeaway before we dig into like the actual game is that I hope for anybody, and I think in this case I'm talking a little bit to Warriors fans, because like the national media, haters, whoever, people are gonna think what they're gonna think. But I hope after this game that no one is sitting up here thinking anymore that the Nuggets are on some level and tier far ahead of the Warriors. They're not. Both teams were missing key players. And I think, though, this also shows you why, not that I don't think the Warriors can't win a series on the road, but I think this is one of those reasons, too, why I think like the Warriors, barring health, are going to actually be closer to 60 wins, if not, because I think both teams are really going to want home court advantage. Like, it's, like, I know the Warriors ain't trying to have a series. Their preference, I'm sure, would be not to have a series in the altitude. And I know that Denver knows that that's their advantage. And I'm not their only advantage, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, you look at this game and like no team could really get like a substantial lead over the other, never more than 6 points. And like, look, you always look and say, there's things I wish I can have back. I'm sure Jokic is like, damn, I'm not going to miss 2 free throws again. Steph is going to shoot better than he shot. And he wasn't even like awful, but he's going to shoot better. Steph is not going to miss a game tying layup like that regularly. That's not going to happen. So, and I'm just talking about the things that they can control. I saw a lot of commentary about officiating, and yes, I do think some of it was not good, but like, I'm not harping on that. I don't think that's like the decider of the game, but both teams were missing players, and so both teams could have done things a little differently. But I think before we joined, there were some notable things that you were saying. The fact that like the Warriors did not like play their main guys that were there as many minutes as Denver had to play their rotation and keep it short. The fact that the Warriors could be in this game going into their bench, tapping into the depth that they have, to me is like a better thing. I know Jokic can take on more of the load. He's gonna have to do that right now with Jamal Murray out. He kind of got it going in the second quarter. So yeah, I think that this is, barring anything crazy, I think this is going to be the Western Conference Finals matchup. And so yeah, I wish they would have won. They could have won. I really wish Steph would have tied the game. But again, that wouldn't have been a game winner. It just would have tied the game. And then who knows? I probably wasn't in the mood for overtime anyway. So credit Denver. They closed out. They did what they had to do. And we'll see them again 3 more times this season. It's going to be fun, I think.
Yeah, I think Golden State, despite everything going against them, showed, like you said, that they aren't far away from this team at all, right? Like, everything considered, 8th city, 8th game of this road trip to start the season, multiple back-to-backs already, both on the road, already coming into this game, tired legs, and the Nuggets have been on a homestand, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, majority of their games have been at home during this opening to start.
So it's a ton going against Golden State. Obviously, Jamal Murray is a big loss for the Nuggets, but not having your 2 best defenders up to this point in the season, and Draymond Green and Gary Payton II. And these are 2 guys who are not only great defenders, but they turn defense into offense, like you said. Gary's a half-court offensive player as well. So both teams were missing significant pieces. The Warriors have heavier legs, and they were still right there in the end with a chance to win this game, right? Like, when the games are this close, you can point to 1,001 things to say that you can make it different, and the result of the game would be different. But we had 19 minutes for Jonathan Kuminga. He was a +9, 18 for Trace. He was a +4, 26 for Dario, who was a -12. I think Dario is not going to be great for this matchup here.
Yeah.
So that's just something that they learned. Obviously, if Draymond played, Dario probably plays less, or Trace probably plays less. But I do think in this matchup specifically, you need a little bit more athleticism. You need a little bit more pop towards the rim than what Dario brings. So when the team is fully healthy, I would like to see them play Trace a little bit more than Dario, and then give Draymond all the rest of those minutes. And free throws, Klay missed 3. Uncharacteristic, you know what I mean? Like, that changes the game if he makes all 3 of those.
Right.
Wiggins,
that's another thing. When we said, like, people are going to want things back. Wiggins is still Wiggins, and we can talk about him too.
Yep. Joker, started the game out, like, I think he had like 15 on 15 shots at one point, and then, like, he just kind of, went into his post bag, and he just doesn't really miss around the rim, and got back to his averages. But he was only a +3, and he's usually, like, way more productive than that. But yeah, I think this is an encouraging effort. Like you said, there's no moral victories, but you definitely could have came out of this game thinking, damn, they got an uphill battle against this team. But it's like,
yeah, and if they got mollywopped, or
right,
if it was like Denver just came in and railroaded them, that was different. But that didn't happen.
For sure.
And I feel like with both teams missing key guys, you can say the teams are, like, more evenly matched right now. So sure. I think it's fair to judge them and say, like, look, these teams are close to each other.
And like I was saying, Denver probably, Draymond is missing, but Denver probably has the best starting 5, right? Like, they just have so much offense, so much size in that starting 5. Reggie kind of put on his Jamal Murray hat today. He had 20 points and 6 assists. That's pretty much a regular season Jamal Murray performance right there. And as a group, they were plus, there's a bunch of guys +12, a few guys +13, and Jokic was +3. So they kind of dominated when they were all out there. And the Nuggets bench is a bunch of young dudes and Justin Holiday. Like, they will not be good against the Warriors. Like, their bench is not going to be good against the Warriors. That's just how it's going to be, right? A bunch of -8, -9, -12. Meanwhile, the Warriors bench +9, +4, +5, +6. That's kind of the Warriors' way to close that gap with the starting lineups, especially until Wiggins and Loon get up to speed. That that's just kind of how that's going to be the way the Warriors beat a lot of these contending teams because they just have the best bench. Like they have so much talent throughout the roster. They might not have the same top end talent, but they
Right.
have enough talent throughout the roster to make up for that. And it showed tonight. And once those starters get caught up to speed and get back close to a level where we know they can get to, then it's going to be a lot more wins and, they'll look a lot different.
Yeah. Well, they got a homestand coming, so hopefully they can utilize that. The Nuggets, so both the Warriors and the Nuggets have played 9 games so far. I think that might lead the league. But 6 of the Nuggets 9 have been at home. 2 of the Warriors 9 have been at home. This is why, I had someone like trying to challenge me the other day in my mentions, like talking about like Warriors homer when I said they had an exceptional start. That was prior to this game. And he's like, exceptional is like a stretch. And I said, no, it's actually not. I said they have one of the harder strength of schedules. I said their games have primarily been on the road. 75% of their games have been on the road. Because at that point, you're talking about 8 games, right? So only 2 games at home, the other 6 on the road. That's 75% of their games on the road. I said winning, only having lost 1 game at that time, or 2 games, I think, whatever it was at that time. I said with the fact that they've been on the road is more impressive than if you only have like 1 loss and it's just not the same. So anyway, that individual was like, yeah, okay. But I don't even see how that's like a crazy or a wild take. Like I said, it's just a well-known thing. People perform better at home. Road records typically are not as good as home records. It's harder to I don't even see how this is crazy. So I didn't get it.
And 2 of the 7 road games were on a back-to-back.
Right. It's like, and they were in multiple cities, multiple time zones. Like that was like another side conversation that was like happening in my mentions, because people were like, I don't think unless people really travel that they understand like the toll traveling takes. And that's a real thing. And that's not even like, and I'm not even an athlete. And I say that because like I used to travel all the time for work. Like sometimes I would just take day trips to DC, not even a different time zone. And I'd be so exhausted just from like flying in and flying out, because like you go to DC for the day, come back from DC for the day. And I remember one week though with my job, I remember it was like I was like in the last like week, or it might have been like an 8-day span, I'd been in 4 different time zones. It fucks up your body. It messes up your body. And I didn't have to. I just had to be alert to talk to people and do presentations. These dudes have to be
to play against the champs.
Yeah, and just multiple teams who are coming for them and to, So to me, I truly do think it's an incredible start to the season.
It is.
So I'm truly like, they've lost 3 games. So on the road, they had 7 games, 5-2 on the road to start the season, and split a 1-1.
Yep.
And of all of these games, they definitely could have won all of them. But I do think like the game 1, they should have won.
Yes.
Game 1, they should have won. So I'll give them the 2 road losses.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like that. Like I look at the team and I look at the schedule and I'm like, and what they've played, and I'm like, okay, they really should be 7-2 right now, but they're gonna get that back with this homestand, and that's how it all balances out.
For sure.
And you hope that with this homestand, Wiggs can, and I know you mentioned that before, can like, get it back. Because if he gets some momentum, then he can like take that and carry it with him. And it is an extended homestand. an extended homestand. So it is 6 games.
Yeah, it's 6 games, and then I think
Cleveland, who you know they're going to want to get back against.
right.
Now they have 2 against Minnie. Those won't be easy games. One of them's a back-to-back, and then they have 2 versus OKC. None of those are actually easy games. It's like Cleveland, and then it's 2 versus Minnesota, 2 versus OKC, and then Houston. I don't like these baseball series at all, but whatever. Huh?
No, you're right. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. So, but whatever. So they're gonna have 6 games at home. And I think that'll be really good for them.
Yeah, I mean, from the next game all the way to Christmas, they're either at home, somewhere else in California, or in Phoenix or Portland, which is pretty close. Like
just Phoenix. Yeah, for the rest of the month, you said, right?
No, until Christmas.
Oh, until Christmas, yeah.
So this is like a good 20 games maybe, where they're just in the same zone, like same time zone, maybe an hour flight, maybe an hour and a half flight, maybe a bus ride. So they're going to be kind of chilling. Like they won't have the travel legs on their body. So this is a good stand for them to rack up a ton of wins and kind of get ahead and make up some ground for this, nasty start that they had. I mean, as far as like travel.
Right.
On the season, right? Like and like you said, being able to be 6-3 coming out of this is big, right? Because now you're about to win 18 out of 22, something like that, right? Like that'll really push you up. But I mean, I really like where the team is at. Like we also don't take into account Draymond has missed 2 games, right? They've lost both games that he's missed, but they've been close games, so it shows that they're still a high functioning team without someone who on most nights is going to be their second or third most impactful player.
Right.
So this team has a really high floor and a really high ceiling that we've seen. If Draymond plays, they're 5-1, 6-1.
Yeah. And also not just, I mean, and Draymond's actually been pretty good. He's been hitting some threes, but not just if he plays, it's also like him just getting back into like game shape and being full Draymond, which he's not there yet. And now he missed the game tonight. So he will get there. But my point is simply that they don't have like Dre back yet.
Mm-hmm. They don't have Dre. They don't have Wiggs.
Right. For a different thing. Like Janelle Moore posed something interesting about Andrew Wiggins. And I didn't think about this because about the actual length of time it takes for the recovery of his rib. So not that he's still dealing with the rib itself, but the rib maybe limiting how much he could do in the off season. I wish I had her tweet, but basically like it would have impacted his off season in terms of like getting prepared and getting ready and like all those things because of the recovery. So it's like now you're like trying to get back because you couldn't like really play. And I don't know. I have no idea because I don't recall. I don't think Andrew Wiggins was like posting videos of like workouts and doing things or whatever. So I don't really know what he was doing. I know that like the team collectively was meeting up, but I don't know like to the fact of like whatever his regular off-season regimen was or is that he was able to do it. So, but it was interesting because I was like, yeah, I never thought about it like that. To me, it was like, okay, that injury happened and he's back this year, but not how it may have lingered into the offseason and affected his ability, right? Because you look at like Klay Thompson last season, he didn't prepare. It granted for him, it was a mental hurdle, but he didn't prepare for the season in the off season the way he normally would. And it definitely impacted his play on the court. So I agree with you when you were talking and you said like Wiggs is in his head. And I definitely think he is. Steve Kerr has benched him a few times, but like, look, they're still going to him to start right now. I don't think the team has lost faith in him, but they do want him and need him to play better. Tonight's a night like Andrew Wiggins plays better. and they probably win the game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I just don't feel like some, I know that he had like a reputation before. So people are like, he looks checked out. He looks this. I don't think Andrew's checked out
No.
personally. Coming into the season, he was talking about trying to be an all-star again. He wants to make a defensive team. He talked about the fact that he thinks he is pretty important to the team. And so last year, him not being there mattered, and in
Mm-hmm.
the playoffs, once Andrew kind of started to like be himself, he was playing well until he broke his rib, So like once he got off some of the rust. So I don't believe that we've just lost that player and he doesn't know how to play basketball anymore. I don't believe that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just unfortunate. It's a little slump, something he's going through right now to start the season. But I rather that now than later.
Right.
And I think it's great that they have the luxury to kind of manage this without it hurting them. Because last year, there's no way if he was playing like this
No.
that they could have like survived it, but they can survive it. And now they're going home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good chance for him to probably get it back, but also like that just adds. So besides their being home, besides them having depth, right? All those things, he'll be at home. So he gets like another extra added like cushion. So hopefully in this time we can start to see Andrew, again. I still believe in Andrew Wiggins. I think the team needs Andrew Wiggins. So I want him to get back to being Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, I think he'll get there. Like you said, the cushion is there. It's built in for him to be able to not necessarily slow play it, but we're waiting for you, but we'll still be good while we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, he'll get there. It's just a mental thing. It could be a physical thing, getting back in shape by not having the ability to train how he really wanted to train over the off season. But this is what I was alluding to earlier when I put those videos out. Like this team has so many options for multiple different tasks, right? Whether it's scoring, whether it's defending, there isn't a dire need for Wiggins to be the best version of himself yet. Now, when you
Right.
get to the playoffs, he's going to have to be that for them to win anything substantial. But in the regular season, Moses Moody is there to do some of the wing duties. Jonathan Kuminga, Gary Payton, and as far as scoring and stuff as well, those guys are there for him as well. So he's not. We don't need him to be peaking right now. It's just about a matter of him getting back to being confident in his own abilities and remembering who he is as a player.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said, no moral victories, but I find it very hard to feel like, upset or anything bad, about this team. So I really wanted them to win just because I didn't want them to be like a full 2 games behind Denver.
Yeah.
But Denver, look, I like they're gonna still be very good. But they're gonna start going on the road a little bit. They don't necessarily have like the hardest teams, but when you go on the road, that's when like things, you know, not everyone plays as well on the road, stuff like that. And they are going to be without Jamal Murray. And so over time that will, take its course. So um they're a really good team regardless. So I don't think they're just going to just be dropping games, but I think the Warriors will still have the potential to catch them and or pass them, but they have to like really stay very close to them.
Yeah.
And can't let that gap get too big.
Right. Like this stretch before Christmas, like I said, the Warriors have a ton of games that are favorable travel wise. And like you just said, the Nuggets have a ton of travel over that stretch. They have 14 of their next 20 on the road. Few back-to-backs in there as well. So it's kind of similar to how the Warriors started their season. But it's more extended, right? So they have 3 road back-to-backs before Christmas, 14 road games before Christmas. And the Warriors just have like essentially all games that are just in the same zone that they're usually in. So this is their chance to make up some ground. Like you said, they're 2 games behind. But given how difficult this stretch is going to be for them, and they're probably not going to have Jamal Murray for the entirety of this stretch, this is the chance for the Warriors to go on a run. Like I said, win like 18 out of 22. That'll put them right back in first. Like that'll put them in first, I'm pretty sure. And then from there, it's just a race to the finish between both teams.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed. We already know how the Warriors are on Christmas Day, but I think a couple of things, because that's the next time they'll see Denver. One, I just think with it being in away Christmas, it just lends itself to them being more focused. Like, I think we've talked about this before in the past, but I have a theory about why Steph doesn't play as well on Christmas Day, because he's like a real family man and they're doing all the stuff in the morning when they're home, but they're going to be away. Mm-hmm. He's going to be on the road. So it's different. They're going to want to win because they didn't win the first game. So is Denver, but they're going to want to win. So I'm hoping that everyone plays that day and we get a good game. I don't love that the schedule's just so weird, like leading up to that game on Christmas when they see Denver again, the Warriors play like Boston on a Tuesday, then they have 2 nights off. And then they have a back-to-back with the Wizards and Portland, and then 1 night off, and then they fly to Denver. It's just like it's like weird how the league gives them like 2 nights off and then like a bunch of stuff together. It's just
right.
Why you do the schedule like this? But thankfully, Washington and Portland, though I'm sure Jordan Poole is gonna have a great game when he comes on the I'm not like trying to be facetious here either. Like he's been struggling a little bit in Washington, but I expect him to like come out and have like a great game versus the Warriors. I don't expect them to win, but I expect him to have a great game. But nonetheless, I'm hoping with those Washington and Portland games that they end up maybe not being too tough. So you don't have to overexert yourselves and maybe can lean on the young guys a little bit because they're going to go back to the altitude, but they need to have all the energy.
Yeah.
But Denver, hopefully coming off of like their sort of schedule, maybe they'll be a little bit more tired than normal.
Probably. Right. Probably. And this is why you make sure you have players at the end of your roster that you can trust to play, as opposed to last year where they had like 5 guys who shouldn't have saw the court at any point. But I mean, Curry even said himself, he feels comfortable playing Pods and TJD at any point against any opponent. He has how much faith he has in those guys, and those guys go out there and they've been performing, right? They're rookies, but they're wise beyond their years, even though Trace is, an older rookie. They know what they're doing out there. They know their roles, their strengths and weaknesses, and those are the guys you need.
Deep. When he says that, that means that's 12 deep.
That's 12 deep. They ain't even unleashed Guy Santos on the league yet. So I'm joking, but
they're fully comfortable going 12 deep,
as they should be, and that's what
I agree.
And that's what you're going to need against a lot of these like weird teams, Portland, Washington, where it's like, do we really got to get up for Portland or Washington? Take a back seat. Play 15 minutes tonight, Steph. Pods is going to go out there and do his thing. TJD is going to go out there and do his thing. So that's going to be another reason why this team is pushing 60 wins when it's all said and done.
Yeah, this is a barring injury. I think it's very clear that the Warriors are taking this season seriously. They haven't rested guys yet for back-to-backs. Mm-hmm. How many minutes is Chris Paul averaging so far?
He's averaging real quick 27.8.
Yeah, I'm sure Kerr would actually like to probably get that down a little bit, which it's probably just a little higher because of Draymond having to start and do more with Draymond being out.
Yep.
But I'd imagine once Draymond's back and everything's level, he probably wants to keep that around 25.
Probably. Yeah, like if you take out game 1, it's 26.8. Even game 2 where Draymond was still kind of working his way back, you take that game out and it's 25.8. So he's really hovering around 25.
25, 26. Yeah. That's all I got in terms of the recap and what's next for the Warriors in terms of their upcoming schedule. So let's just switch gears really quick before we wrap. Because I didn't get to weigh in on this. I really wish I could have joined you and Karima the other day. But you did a nice little video thread today. Y'all talked about it. But this obsession with everyone and the Warriors and the fact that we already kind of talked about it with like, okay, Wiggs isn't playing well, but they have like a built-in cushion, right? So it's not that we don't see that. Like we're not over here saying, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like we know it matters. We know they need Wiggs, but thankfully the team is stable enough to withstand it. And we can give him the time. So it doesn't have to be this kind of reaction to him not playing well because he's proven. Let's give him some time to get it together. So people are worried about that. And then they're really worried about the fact that like no one else is averaging 20 points on the team. No one has scored more than 20 points. And it's like, this is a thing that like Dub Nation has made it into, right? And I'm like, but why does it matter? I keep saying that. I was like, if they're still getting the production
right
that's needed to win, why does it matter? The distribution is just spread out differently, right? Like, so if you get it, because like you worry about that when you think that you're not going to get that production elsewhere. That's when that's an issue. But if we're all saying we trust and we believe the bench, then I'm not concerned. I'm really not. I think they're going to get the production from the bench.
Yeah, literally. They brought it up again today. Oh, no one else scored over 20. Well, they had 6 guys in double figures.
Right.
And they had 2 other guys with 8 and 9. So what's the difference between that and just if it was one guy who combined Trace and Chris Paul's points into 17 and you know what I mean, and somebody else gets 0? What's the difference?
That's a lot of guys in double digits. You look at other teams, you're not going to see that for like second unit guys because you're not talking about other starters. You're talking about like people who are not main guys, like role players and second unit people.
Exactly. Let's look at the Nuggets bench. Nobody over 4 points. Nobody over 4 points. They only had 4 people score, right? Reggie Jackson would be on their bench, obviously, if Jamal Murray played, but he's not scoring 20 points off of their bench. This is a fake Reggie Jackson game. Let's just keep it a buck. He's hitting contested threes and shit in the game. He's not doing that again. So, of course, typical Warriors fashion, we go on the road and there's at least one guy having a fake game against us, which is fine.
And the thing is, if you have GP2 there, you put him on a Reggie, and he's not having no game like that.
Does that happen? Right? We held the Nuggets to 108 with the fake Reggie Jackson game. Imagine if he has a normal game. What do they break 100 points? This is another reason why the no second option thing is like right now, it's not that big of a deal because their defense is fucking elite. Like they held the Nuggets at home at the end of this road trip to 108 with the fake Reggie Jackson performance out there. Like Jokic 35 points. Nobody else is really doing much. Michael Porter Jr. had his moments, but nobody else is really doing much. This team is built to guard all of these teams that people say is too big. They're too this, they're too that. The Warriors have players to defend all these guys. Now, Jokic is unguardable, but all these other dudes, they're not getting off like that. And then the Warriors just have more dudes than you. We might not have our best players. Our best player is as good as your best player or better. The second or third or fourth guy might not be as good as yours, but all the other guys are better, way better than the rest of your guys. And that's where the gap is made up.
And we've talked about this before, but I want to keep beating the drum. I want to keep beating the drum, maybe for newcomers, people who missed those episodes. But can you explain again, as you always eloquently do, why the Warriors are a different kind of matchup problem for the Nuggets than other teams?
They make the Nuggets guard in space, which is what they're not good at doing, right? So Jokic especially has gotten better at guarding inside the three-point line because his hands are quick. His positioning has been better as it used to be in the rest of his career. He's not a vertical threat. He's not going to block his shot, but he's good in those close quarters type of situations. But when you pull him away from the rim, and make him guard in space, the Nuggets have a choice. Do they leave Jokic on that island? He's going to get scored on. Do they hedge and recover? He's not fast enough to really do that. Or do they trap? If they do that, then it's a lob at the rim every time because they're just running down 4-on-3 pretty much. And the Warriors did it a few times in crunch time with Looney in that Draymond spot. Draymond's usually the guy that finds that lob at the end of the game. Looney got Kuminga on one side of the rim, and then they ran it again the next play, and he got Wiggins on the other side of the rim. It was literally the same play. And JJ Redick's like, how many times are they going to get this? They're going to get it every time because the Nuggets can't guard them. Right? They can't guard them in space. Their best perimeter or their best athlete on the perimeter is Aaron Gordon, and he's usually on like a big or something like that. He's not going to be guarding Steph one-on-one out there. So that in itself is problematic for the Nuggets. And then the Warriors have big wings that they can put on the Nuggets guards and perimeter players that can, at least not get killed out there. And then they have big wings that they can put on guys like Aaron Gordon. So Aaron Gordon is not going to go out there and post you up 1,000 times like he was doing against the Miami Heat and just getting a bunch of layups. Aaron Gordon shot 5 for 14, tried to post up Clay at the end, got stripped. You know what I'm saying? He's a good player. He had a good overall game, but he's not going to go off and kill you efficiently, at least. So make Jokic guard in space, guard everybody else on their team as well as you can guard them, and then you just let the chips fall where they may. Then I think that's why they're a pretty good matchup. At the end of the game, Jokic missed his free throws, Steph missed his layup. It ended up going the Nuggets' way, but I say those guys mostly.
Clay missing free throws in general is like
Clay, yeah.
And actually, Jokic is more likely to miss a free throw than Steph is to miss that shot. I'm not even trying to be funny because he's missed free throws before, maybe not 2, but he misses 1, but he's done it. Mm-hmm. He's a very good free throw shooter, so I'm not trying to say, but he'll do that. Stephen is not missing that kind of shot typically at the end of a game.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when he missed that.
Me too. That's why we always want him to attack.
And they take that possession 10 times out of 10. I think Clay was wide open too in the corner, but Steph had a layup. He should have just made that. But they got multiple good looks out of that, which is another indication that the Denver cannot guard this team. Their defense is improved, but the Warriors play different style of basketball offensively than every other team in the league. And the Nuggets are not equipped to guard this team, right? Guys just got to hit shots, right? Wiggins, Steph, and Clay combined 15 for 42. All right. Make 3 more shots. That's game, right? So it is what it is.
And they were just missing. This wasn't a Denver.
They were just missing. Right. Just missing. Getting good looks, missing. Obviously, Steph missed the layup at the end. Just missing. So, and that's something that we're not worried about. Right? I'm not worried about Steph or Clay shooting the ball, especially open shots. They're going to make them when it counts. Andrew Wiggins, he's shown over the last few seasons, he's a better shooter than this. Way better.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris Paul, 4 for 10, 1 for 4 from 3. He's a way better shooter than that. It's going to come. They got tired legs right now, but it's when they start hitting shots and start playing to their average, it's going to look real scary.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Well, fam, I hope you guys enjoyed. It is late on the East Coast, and I really do need to get to my bed. So everyone's head should be held high. I didn't even look at Twitter. I don't plan to, because if they're saying foolishness, I'm going to get annoyed. They had me so annoyed with the 20-point discussion and I was like, because I don't understand. It's just math, people. They're getting the production. So
you're right.
One person said, well, I don't trust Draymond is going to, okay, fine. You don't trust that he can continue to make the threes, whatever. I get that. But outside of Draymond, they're getting the production.
Right.
And I do trust that those guys can and will.
And you can say, well, Draymond's probably not going to continue to shoot the way he's shooting and average 11 points a game. Well, yeah, if he drops down to his normal, 8 points a game, but Wiggins goes up 3 points, you know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of having this much depth. One guy is slumping a little bit. Another guy can step up in his place and fill in that production. It's just right now, the guys you expect to consistently be good scorers aren't really there right now. But the other guys are stepping up. And I think eventually the scorers will be who they are.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, y'all, we appreciate you tuning in. Looking forward to that Warriors homestand. I'm not really one to ever announce things because y'all don't need to know my business, but I will be in the Bay for that Warriors homestand. So you won't see me on the pod for a little bit, but we have some great people who are part of the Golden Spaces family who you will see with Justin. So thanks for tuning in. Y'all have been really engaged with us the last few days, and we appreciate it on social media. We appreciate it. I know me personally, I'm not gonna speak for Justin, although I think he feels the same. I'm always amazed, wowed, and humbled, like when people are like referencing the pod, listening to it. Like it's mad podcasts out there. And if you're taking the time to listen to us, like we appreciate it. We think we put out good content, but still you have options. So thank you so much for the support and for staying engaged. And we're gonna keep doing what we do, and our dubs are gonna keep doing what they do. So make sure you are following us at Golden Spaces Pod on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. Follow. You want to follow. And we have been more active with our Instagram account. So there's a reason to follow if you weren't following before. But nah, for real, follow us. Leave a review, positive one. Give us 5-star ratings, please. Make sure you are also subscribed to 95.7 The Game's YouTube channel. That's where you will see Golden Spaces if you want to watch versus listening. But obviously, we're available on all the podcast platforms, and you can choose whichever one that you like. So, yeah, thank you. We appreciate you. And until next time, take care.